Welcome to Office Hours with yours truly, Tim Butler, the Grant Professor. So, on today's topic, we're going to talk about why I do what I do. So, some of you may not know this, but I've been a certified grant writer for nearly 20 years. I'm certified as a certified nonprofit professional through the Nonprofit Leadership Alliance. I've studied master level federal grant training under Dr. Beverly Browning, whom I dub as the queen of grant writing. And I've also studied under Rodney Walker. I've raised multi-million and this is writing at as high as a 93.75% success rate, and my clients have received in some cases as high as $35 for every $1 they spend on my services. So I don't know where you can take a dollar into a bank and they'll multiply it and give it back to you and give you 35 bucks. That just really doesn't happen. So I've been blessed to have some successes. All of that to say, years ago, when I worked as a capital campaign clerk for a nonprofit, I was writing grants. I think at that point, I think I've raised about $500,000 roughly, writing grants within a 3-month period, actually. So it was a record high for me. And I remember working on this one particular grant that I was closing out, and it finally came through. And I want to say that particular grant was worth $250,000, roughly, give or take. So the grant check came in, and I remember holding this check in my hand and looking at all those zeros, and I was like, okay, I'm making wages here because I'm not making a whole lot of money. I do love what I'm doing, but I'm not getting paid very well. Something's got to be wrong with this picture. I'm on the short end of the stick. And this is enough money in this one check to pay off my student loans. So I was like, something's got to give. And I noticed that even though this particular nonprofit did great work in the community, did very noble work, oftentimes when it came down to folks who looked like me, the issues that we face, particularly and especially in this fundraising industry and space, it was as if those things were a second thought or secondary, and I just did not see a lot of focus on that. Most of the rooms that I walked into, there weren't as many people who looked like me, excuse me, and so I felt like something's missing. There's not enough representation. I knew then I wanted to give back and I wanted to make a difference in this space. And so the reason why I do what I do is I want to pay it forward. I want to give back. I want to add value and sow seeds of information into other folks like myself who A, sought grants, or B, been on the side of the fence where you have overseen the process of awarding grants or critiquing them or reviewing them. So I figured that knowledge is power, but specifically, you have to have wisdom. You have to know what to do with that knowledge or with that information to get results. And so, because of that, I wanted to make sure I gave back and followed my passion, followed my calling to sow this seed of information into folks who need it. Here's the thing, if it's in you and it's in your heart, you'll do it. It's not about you, though. It's about what you can do to serve others, what you can do to solve other people's problems. I remember some time ago, I read a book, and it was called How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. And it's a Carnegie classic by Frank Betchker. I sometimes butcher his last name, it's kind of doesn't roll off the tongue. But anyway, there are so many gems in this book. But one particular thing that stood out to me more than anything, he basically summarized his wealth of experience by stating this: those who sold insurance well, the reason they did it is because they saw people. They didn't look at people and see dollar signs only. They saw people that they could serve and genuinely help and make a difference. When you get to the point where you can see how you can make an impact and solve somebody else's problem, that's when you're going to have your biggest wins. And so, as it relates to grants, that's no different, guys. Here's the thing: every funder looks at this as an investment. So they're going to make sure that they vet you and they want to see your heart. You show that by the impact that you make, whether you're a business or a nonprofit that's seeking grants, because you can be both. And we can talk about, there's going to be another episode that talks about that. But you have to make sure that you deliver by putting people first. An ecosystem builder said it like this to me once, Cecilia Wessinger. She said, Tim, don't be married to your solution, but be married to the problem. In other words, understand your customer's problem, understand what they really need, and speak to that, solve that. And in the grant space, solve that problem. Make sure you're adding value there. It all starts from here. And if you don't get this, then everything else that you try to build on this is going to crumble. Sure, you could say, hey, I know that I've heard that there are millions of dollars out there in grants and you know where to get them and all of that. I understand that. That's true. But you're not going to get anything if you don't care about people and you're not a problem solver. You have to make impact. And that's one grant writing, grant readiness 101. Everything builds on that. And you have to be willing to show impact and make a difference. All right. So if you want to learn more about me or connect with me, send me a LinkedIn request. If you're on Facebook, connect with me. You'll find me at Tim Butler, the Grant Professor, on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also, make sure you like and subscribe this video here on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the next episode. Peace.